We are ready. It's an honor to be here today. We're presenting a bill package today in regards to foreign influence and restrictions in the state of Michigan. I'm going to read through the set of bills and their sponsors. We have a number of sponsors today that are also going to be speaking. Starting out with Bill 4233, Representative Johnson. 4234, Representative Meerman. 4235, Representative Smith. 4236, Representative Martin. 4237, Representative Marketin. 4238, Representative Jenkins Arno. 4239, Representative Bruck, myself. 4240, Representative Schutte. 4241, Representative Hoadley. 4242, Representative Thompson. I am State Representative William Bruck. I represent the 30th District down in Monroe and Lenawee counties, a border district, and the entryway to Michigan. And today we're going to be presenting these set of bills. The speakers today will be Representative Thompson. She'll be speaking on her bill, as well as Representative Meerman will be speaking second. Then we'll have Representative Schutte, followed by Representative Martin. And then I will come back to bring it all together and talk about what effect this will have on Michigan. This is an honor to be presenting this bill. We as Michigan are taking a lead nationally on this issue of foreign influence from entities of foreign concern that are ravaging our nation and being included in areas that they should not be. So look forward to hearing from each of these. These bills range from what we do in our technology world to land sales to our military, protecting our bases, as well as our schools and the children in our education system. So, Representative Thompson.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. So first of all, I want to thank Representative Bruck and all of my colleagues here today that has worked on this foreign influence package in the state of Michigan. My background is healthcare. I am a nurse. I continue to renew my license every year, and I understand how important it is to keep our health data safe. So I was very interested and excited to be a part of this package and to be taking on this specific bill. So protecting our health records from foreign influence and bad actors is not only extremely important, but it's really urgent that we do so, and we do so now. We do have, at a federal level, the Secretary of Health and Human Services is responsible for reporting data breaches. But currently, here in the state of Michigan, we are way behind the 8 ball when it comes to this. In May of last year, a cyber attack hit 140 hospitals across 10 states, locking healthcare workers out of electronic systems and forcing them to return to paper charting. Also forced them to perform manual procedures that we use technology to do right now. And as a nurse, I understand how devastating that must have been for our industry now, when we know that our healthcare workers are overworked and short-staffed as it is. So this was very, very hard on patients and on the hospital system. In September, a cyber attack hit the University of Michigan's Academic Medical Center for the second time in just 4 months. It exposed the data of nearly 58,000 patients. So these are happening, and they're happening more frequently. Had those attacks come and been responsible by our foreign adversaries, the repercussions and the safety of the people in the state of Michigan would have been devastating. It would have been a very tragic event here in the state of Michigan. So we must ensure that our healthcare records and technology are physically maintained here in the U.S. and in Canada, and my bill accomplishes that. This is a needed step that I believe Michigan is ripe to take to protect our personal and private health data for our constituents and our families. And also, moving forward, it's my intent to work on additional legislation as we see these cyber attacks happening more frequently. I think that it's very important because they're happening in our healthcare settings, in our hospitals, and they're also happening in our pharmacies. There was an event where a couple of pharmacists across the state of Michigan, around the same time as these hospital cyber attacks happened, their systems shut down. And for those of you that don't understand what that caused, it caused their system not to recognize their healthcare insurance. So, for example, if a patient was on a nebulizer or a breathing treatment that cost $5,000 and their insurance covered it where they had a copay of $10, the system didn't recognize their insurance. Therefore, the pharmacy said, we have that medication for you, we can give it to you, but you have to pay $5,000. And there was nothing they could do, there was no way around it. So patients were going without medication because of these cyber attacks. So I think this is very important, and I think it's something that we have to do, and that we have to do right now. So I thank you for your time, and I continue to hear from my colleagues.
Thank you, Representative Thompson. Thank you, Representative Brooke. It's a privilege to be part of this package to sponsor House Bill 4234, to serve alongside you, Representative Brooke, on the Oversight Subcommittee on Homeland Security and Foreign Influence. This bill is addressing critical concern among my constituency that Michiganders across the state have. The bill I'm sponsoring would prohibit the ownership of all property within 20 miles of a military installation of all agricultural land in Michigan by a foreign country of concern, businesses based within them, and persons with primary citizenship. And as to an example that we all watched unfold back in August, 5 Chinese nationals studying at the U of M were charged in the federal counter-surveillance probe after being caught with cameras at Camp Grayling. This was an overt act of espionage, and these former students colluded to erase photographs they had taken of military vehicles and the site. This was alarming news when the story broke, and as a state, we must protect our interests. This bill is a key step towards that common objective. And just to go off script just a little bit, it's a surprising point for me to find myself standing here talking about foreign countries of concern at the state level. But if you look at what our former director Ray had been talking to us all for the last 10 years about, his was constant sort of trying to raise the alarm that this does matter at the state level. And so that prompted Representative Brooke and I to start a working group that has resulted in now this oversight committee on countries of concern. And one more quick example, we heard from Congressman Molinar just a few weeks ago right here in Lansing. He came and gave us a brief, and one of the things that stood out to me was routers in control of municipal infrastructure, 80% of them made by a country of concern with a back door proven to be there. So that's why it does matter to us here in Michigan, and we at the state level can have a role in protecting this state from countries of concern. Thank you. Turn it over to Rep. Schutte.
Thank you, Luke. Thank you, Representative Bruck, for your leadership on this and on your committee. This is an important issue, and so I'm a former intelligence officer with the Department of Defense. I just want to first provide a little bit of a high-level overview of why I think this is an important issue, why we're working on this as state legislators. And when I worked at the Department of Defense, we would study and we would analyze how foreign entities of concern, how China, how Russia, how Venezuela, how these countries would try and undermine the national security of other areas. And these countries, they don't play fair, right? They're not, going by the rules. They're trying to use every single lever of power that they have to try to undermine countries like the United States that stand for from freedom and security in the global world. So then, as legislators here in Michigan, it is so concerning to see those same types of malignant, nefarious activities that we see countries like China and Venezuela do in foreign countries try to take place here in Michigan. And Representative Mearman talked about the overt espionage that we discovered that happened earlier in the state of Michigan. But you also have whole of government operations from the Chinese. This company CATL, which unfortunately received state funding on partisan vote, is a group that is on the Pentagon's watch list. You have Goshen, which in their bylaws pledges fealty to the Chinese Communist Party. So this is a real issue in Michigan. This is a significant national security concern, and we're acting as a caucus. We're acting as members of the legislature to try to secure Michiganders. So the legislation that I personally am introducing prohibits public bodies from entering into constraining agreements with foreign entities of concern. And again, this is what you see countries like China, what you see countries like Venezuela try to do, is they try to go to a public body and say, hey, we'll give you all this cash, but then there's a whole bunch of strings attached, a whole lot of ways that they can then work to undermine our national security. That should not happen in the state of Michigan. We're not going to let it happen in the state of Michigan under this legislation and under our team effort here. So I think this is an incredibly important issue, and I look forward to working with all of my colleagues to make sure we make this happen. So thank you. I'll turn it over to Representative Martin.
Thank you, Representative Schutte. Representative Bruck, thank you for letting me be here today. I'm proud to be part of this package. I started out my military career fighting the Soviet Union in the Fulda Gap, B-52 bombers out of Wurtsmith over to Soviet Union, and I've also chased Bear bombers out of Alaskan airspace. So I have a real concern about any influence of a foreign entity coming into us after we've already won the Cold War. My recent history has been in a high-tech security company where 4K cameras had just come online, and a lot of our clients wanted them, and we would not use them because of the backdoor potential from the Chinese government. So I've been looking at this for a long time. I've had my fingers in it, and want to continue to make sure that Michigan and America stay strong. Thank you.
As you can hear, this bill set covers a wide array of issues that we as a state are looking, and the questions are going to be asked, why Michigan? What does the state have to do with national security? Well, here in Michigan, things are changed. They're changing. I am the chair of the Homeland Security Foreign Influence Committee. This is a brand new committee. This is a state-of-the-art committee. It's a first in the nation that we as a state are taking security, our national security, at a higher level. Certainly, the federal government and all the agencies are here in our state. They do border security, they do customs, they do many things that protect our well-being. But we as a state need to be concerned with, as you heard, all the examples, the intrusions from foreign entities of concern, specifically the Chinese Communist Party and entities controlled by those folks. So we're going to be looking at things like our drones, the technology, the back doors, the ways and means that our utilities are constructed digitally. These bills affect Michiganders. For 31 years, I served our nation. I swore an oath to protect our nation. Now, as a state legislator, and the ones behind me and those that are serving and putting forth these bills are standing and swearing an oath that they're going to stand and protect our state from foreign entities. This doesn't mean we have a despise for the communist people or the Venezuelans or the Cubans. What this means is we despise those that want to do harm to us, those that lead these countries. So, we are going to make a difference. There is no longer a welcome mat in Michigan for entities of foreign concern. We're taking that welcome mat and we're throwing it in the trash. And I believe that this will be a bipartisan bill. We're going to get support, or the Michiganders that vote in this state are going to make a difference. And we will see that. We'll give the choice to our House, to our Senate, to our governor to put their priorities below the priorities of our state. And today, that's what we're here to do. So if you have any questions, we'll take those at this time. Yes, ma'am.
This might be best directed for Rep. Schutte, given your background at the federal level. Is there a federal definition for foreign entities and nations of concern, or is that something that's a little more loosely decided at the state
No,
level?
it's a determination by the Department of Treasury.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's 7 countries that are determined by the Department of Treasury. It's China, it's Venezuela, it's Russia, it's North Korea, Iran, and those, Cuba, Syrian Arab Republic. So and that's a determination by the Department of Treasury, and they evaluate that on a yearly basis. So if not more, so yeah.
And I will add to this, the Select Committee on the CCP has determined a lot of the foreign entities of concern that we are looking at. I mean, they specifically talk about the CCP, but they also address these other countries of concern that are led by leaders of real concern.
If nobody else has anything, I've got another one.
Sure, go ahead.
So you talked a little bit about securing some bipartisan support for this. Have you had any conversations yet with your Democratic colleagues on?
We
their
have
openness?
had ongoing conversations, yes, ma'am.
And
I don't know the level of support, but if people are willing to look and place the security of our state above the security of their party, then they're gonna look seriously at this legislation.
Well, I would like to add that when all of the breaches were happening at the hospitals, our Attorney General Dana Nessel did several news interviews throughout the Detroit media market on the need for this type of legislation. So I would hope that we would have her support on this, as well as Governor Whitmer's.
I could speak a little bit on Representative Thompson's bill. You know, the federal level, they have identified the CCP as actively harvesting genomic data from individuals. So that's why it's so very important that in her bill and the other bill that we put forth a measure of security that any system that has our PII, especially our health systems, needs to be secured from a company of foreign concern or that is owned by a country of foreign concern. So that's really what these bills address. And Congressman Molinar's committee, they have put out and actively investigated this, and they have found the Chinese Communist Party actively harvesting our genomic data for their purposes of possible, ill intent. So it's a real thing that's happening currently in the United States, and we as Michiganders are taking the lead on this. Any other questions? Otherwise, we appreciate your support. We appreciate you being here today. We appreciate you listening to us, and we hope you get it out there, and we're going to make a difference. And as I said, Michigan is standing on our own, and we're here to make a difference. Otherwise, we have no sense being here in Lansing. Our folks, our Michiganders, elected us for a reason, and overwhelmingly, Michiganders want to see more protections of their personal information and our state. So thank you very, very much.